A couple of old guard tech stocks getting punished this morning. Let's show you what's happening here. You're looking at Intel and IBM. They are off sharply. IBM off about 7.5% right now. Intel off about 4%. We'll talk about what's going on here. Joining us right now is Dan Ives, analyst at Wedbush Securities. Let's start with IBM. A fourth now straight quarter of revenue declines. It's the biggest revenue decline in 5 years. However, Big Blue saying it does expect revenue growth in 2021. We've had this conversation before about this idea of empty calories or real calories that are being lost here. And when you look across some of these numbers, there are some real calories in there that are being lost, not just the empty ones.
Yeah, and it's another black eye for IBM, especially on cloud. I mean, if you think about what's going on right now, cloud arms race. Look at Microsoft, AWS, and IBM has continued for one step forward, two steps back. And even though new CEO and new strategy, this is just continued share loss situation. And I think it's troubling for the street, especially in terms of what you're seeing with $1 trillion cloud market under their nose. It's an Everest-like uphill battle right now in cloud for IBM, and I think you saw that last night.
You look at the Red Hat business, even that business was down, not up. What does that say in this environment?
Well, did they bet on the wrong horse? And I think that's always been the issue. Were they late to the game on acquisitions? Did they make the right acquisition in Red Hat? Now they have to prove it. And that Arvind, I think is a great CEO. Now that's really the opportunity, but also the challenge. And I think if you look what's happening in cloud, we'll see what happens next week. I think you're going to have a tech blowout across the board on cloud, and that continues to be their sweet spot, losing more and more share. I think it just talks about innovation. Did they miss it here, or did they bet on the wrong horse? That's what they have to prove going forward.
Okay, but for the investor out there that's looking at IBM, do you then therefore say this company is overvalued at this price, $121 a share? Do you say it's undervalued? You want to bet on Arvind and his ability to pivot this company in the future?
Yeah, and of course, a spin out coming later this year. I think right now, it's a prove me story. And I think in cloud, you look at a Microsoft, that continues to be the best bet. The Dell with a golden touch, and I think what we'll see next week. And that's why stocks are cheap, but cheap is not necessarily what's moving the needle. And I think that's going to be the focus going forward as they sort of prove out the cloud strategy. But you got stalwarts, even Google on GCP coming from behind Oracle, and it's a crowded market, and this is a window of opportunity.
What's a fair value for this company?
I think right now this continues to sort of be, I think a stock that to me is pretty fairly valued relative to the overall market, and I think unless they show that they could grow, the market's not going to pay up. Right now, market's paying up for growth, not earnings, and they're on the outside looking in.
Okay, let's shift real quick to Intel because the company posted annual sales, record annual sales, I should say. But one of the big issues here is that the incoming CEO said that Intel's not going to start outsourcing some of its production. What does that say to you?
Yeah, we know Pat well from VMware, and I think it's new blood. And clearly, if you look what's happening across the semi space, I mean, Intel, similar to IBM, it's old tech guard. And you're seeing a tale of two cities, and they need to change the strategy. And to me, it's really all about AI. AI is really going to be the future going forward. Can they make more of a bet there, but clearly losing more and more market share to AMD and everything that Lisa's done over there?
So you buying this stock? Are you going to bet on this new CEO, or do you think this is overvalued too?
I think it's similar as IBM with Arvind. They have to prove it out in terms of being successful. Right now, you cannot make that bet, given the growth and given where the cloud market is going across the board. And then you look at semis, it continues to be really what's a golden age. But Intel, even though they continue to be the star, missing out in the market, and investors are going to continue to be skeptical till they could prove it out. And that's Pat's opportunity, but also the challenge.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.